All right, I know you wrote an article for Dogs by Nature, and it's veterans who may not be in training camp with the Browns in 2024. And one of the guys you mentioned, and I kind of thought this, and it's going to be interesting to see, is Greg Newsome. Take us through kind of the thought process, and that's a tough one. I mean, it's not that he's not talented, it's that he's going to be kicked inside because you have two better outside corners.
It is that he's kicked inside. It's also the reality. Greg has actually played really, really well. A lot of times fans and media look at who is the closest defender when a wide open wide receiver catches the ball. Oftentimes, Greg is the one chasing things down, even though the play is probably over. And so a lot of times Greg gets blamed for things that may not be his fault. Now, he's not a perfect cornerback. He's not a number one. He's a really, really good number two cornerback. But now we're talking about asset allocation. Right, the Browns only have so much money. Denzel Ward, like we saw on the last slide, is already getting paid really, really well. And because Newsome is a first-round pick, and the following year, Martin Emerson was a third-round pick, they actually become free agents at the same time. And so for the Browns, it really is kind of a choice, a decision between paying Martin Emerson or paying Greg Newsome. With that extra contract year, Newsome probably is able to pull in a little bit more than Martin Emerson is, even though Emerson's that outside cornerback. And just to be honest, the Browns are more likely to want to keep Emerson than they are Newsome. And so last year there was a report, it got retracted, that Newsome wanted to be traded. It really got retracted based on some of the verbiage with it, wanted to be traded. He's interested in being traded. He's interested in being used outside. And for the Browns, if they can pull in a veteran that, doesn't fit because a new coaching staff and front office is in, if they can get a second, a third, and a fifth, if they can get a draft pick instead, they may just be looking at how do they spend their money and their assets someplace else, because they cannot pay, most likely, they cannot pay three cornerbacks big money. And in the NFL, cornerbacks and offensive linemen are going to get paid. And Greg Newsome, Martin Emerson are going to join those really high cornerback paid club along with Denzel Ward. The Browns just can't have all three of them.
Yeah, and again, not saying that Greg Newsome isn't good. In fact, you're saying you might not be able to keep him because he's that good.